they give me their email address, you know.
He sends me, Brian.
But the video's up there for 4 years, like, you know. It has 90 views. Yeah. Beg your pardon? It's just Brian Whelan. But if people give me their email, I'll send it to them, you know. Just write it down on the back of that. Okay? So I just wanted to show you some of the projects. These are, I don't just work on alternative energy. I was introduced to the idea of water and various things. One is a water vortexer here, which is, I basically got two 1.5 litre bottles of water, Pepsi or Coke. I brought them home and poured them down the sink. Don't let Peppy hear you saying that. And I'll just show you this. Sorry, this thing is not waterproof, so I'll just do it over here. This is a water structuring device. There's a basically, I'll just show you in a minute. It's a series of 12 neodymium magnets there, which are offset. And the water, I'll show you in a minute. I turn it around, and it will start to form a vortex and come down through these magnets. And bring it here. So what you do is, it's not complicated. Just turn it up, spin it around, and spinning around it. Yeah, this is Schauberger's work. Yeah, Schauberger's the man. And that's been structured, that water, okay? Now, I had a chap that lives in the apartment building with me a couple of weeks ago, said he couldn't drink the water because of the chlorine in it. So I brought him into the apartment and I put it through one run and I got him to taste it, and he said he couldn't taste any chlorine in it. So it's not working, doesn't make the chlorine disappear, and it renders it inert, as what as I understand it, because there's fluorine or fluoride in there too, and probably God knows what else, you know. But that's structuring water. Now I do it 4 times every morning when I get up religiously. I structure all the water I drink, and the device is about €70, and it's something people should look at. Go research it. Don't believe everything I say, you know. And I don't have it in front of me, but if you write down your email address, I'll send it to you.
And where can we buy it off you, or?
No, this chap in England selling them. But I have to say, I haven't checked this device now. I bought this one in from the US about 3 years ago. This thing should last for years, you know.
What's the advantage of structured water?
It's the healthier water. It's structured. If you ever study the work of Dr. Mizuru Emoto, Japanese doctor, he wasn't a medical doctor, he did a lot of important work with water that proved the esoteric nature of water. He basically would take glasses of water and expose it to hate or heavy metal music. Apparently there's not much different. And he would freeze the water and find it would be all disrupted. And he would, other glasses of water, he would expose it to love. I don't know how exactly you do that, but and they would freeze the water and they would find it highly structured. There is an esoteric nature to the world we live in that people are not aware of, that water could be affected that way. Conventional science will laugh at that and describe it as an anomaly. Okay?
Brian, you know when you said about the, sorry, I'm just going back, I shouldn't have been on that, but you know when you said there was 2 chaps that got together and they danced that class? You said they had to be, against the coordinates, they had to be in the right frame.
Yeah, they had to be in the right.
Did they have to be, did they all have to be focusing on the same thing?
I don't know the ins and outs of them.
Okay.
But Ralph Ring is still alive. He's in his 80s now, and if you go onto YouTube, and you could probably contact him, you know.
Yeah, because it could be that the craft, you know, the way the craft is designed, and that it's actually, you know, if you stay in the right space and get your consciousness into the right space.
Yeah, he did. Tesla emphasised that the technology was conscious based, and it's so far advanced, even today, like, you know.
Yeah, and that's what the Samurai Roto proved as well.
Yeah.
It proved that water can really
Right.
does have a consciousness of its own.
Yeah, right.
And also, you know, because we have high percentage of water in our bodies, our thoughts actually affect, you know, like a sort of walking cocktail shaker, I suppose, because, you know, if you wander off into negative energies, and, you know, most people do, or if, you know, if you have sort of aspects of self-loathing, you know, you're changing the composition of your body from a health perspective as well, you know, lots of levels of the body, and yeah, so I did read a book about Shogun quite a number of years ago, but it just blew me away. But he was very in tune with nature
Yeah,
as well.
he was.
Yeah, he was aware of that
Yeah.
esoteric, and he had a strong understanding of that.
Yeah,
Because he also said that, you know, the right songs about the ocean and things like that, and he actually said and proved that, you know, if, you know, the ocean, when the sun is fully shining on it, he used to call it the lazy ocean because it's practically asleep. But if you go down to a river, he used to say, you know, on full moon, particularly if you wore leather soles and upper shoes, totally leather, and walk down on the air, on grass, or, you know, on soil towards the river, he said that you could actually feel the energy, you know, just becoming greater and greater the closer you got to the river. And that was when it was, you know, at its height, you know, power.
Yeah, I'm reading a book on Shoboga at the moment, and it describes one episode where he was quite often he was out at night time, as you say, the full moon, and he's looking into this water, to this river, and it's crystal clear, and he's looking down at these stones, and some of the stones started to come up to the top of the water because apparently they were egg-shaped, but the irregular shaped stones wouldn't come up, and they started moving around. You know,
yeah, because everything has a consciousness, you see, as well. So
yeah, and remarkable individual. Both he and Nikola Tesla, you know, I describe them as wizards, but they both were, I believe, in contact with some kind of intelligence, you know, where they were being assisted at least. That structure of water, if you take that water and just try it, somebody try it, if you have indoor plants, you know, put some of the structured water. I know, JJ, we tried this a couple of years ago, but I wasn't doing it right. But if you spray it on indoor plants and don't put it on other plants, just put regular water and see is there a difference in the growth rate, because there should be. You know. Could probably turn it into a business. Okay. So I wanted to go on to the Brown's gas generator here. This is a 12-cell generator. I built this myself, and you know, get into this is something I wanted to show you. It's basically a reddish-coloured material, and as far as I can figure out, it's iron oxide. This was created in the Brown's gas generator alchemically, not chemically, but alchemically. The water literally transmuted into this material. People would say, oh, come off the plates, didn't it? Surely. It came off the plates, but the new water that's created in those Brown's gas generators started replicating the rust, which is iron oxide. And that took 2 weeks to create, you know. Alchemically. There's no chemicals involved. It was something that's conventional science says is not possible. And it's basically iron oxide that came off the plates, you know. Okay. And what has happened with the Brown's gas is it has moved into the area of health, and this is a significant area, and it's not as risky as trying to run cars on water. And basically this device, as I said, it's 12 cells, there's 2 volts across each cell. You can come up and have a look at it, and it gives off the constituent gases of Brown's gas, which is hydrogen, oxygen, probably O2, and electrically expanded water, and that's the important one. Okay. So I just turn it on there. This is a DC, this is supplying DC power to it. There's 12 cells here, and it's 2 volts across each cell. If you bring it up much above 2 volts, you start to damage the plates. I don't want to run it too hard because I haven't run it in months. So bring the voltage is on top and the amperage is on the bottom. So would be nice if it came on. Start the bubble there now. No. And, come in through. This is a bubbler here. Okay. There's guys building these devices in America, and they're selling them for $2,500. You know, but they've got housing around them and a lot of switches and a whole. This is just homemade, okay? But it's essentially the same gas. And people are breathing this gas, or they're running it into a pint glass maybe and bubbling it into that, and they're getting health benefits. Some people get immediate health benefits, and you know, what harm could it do to try it? You know, so there is hydrogen, and people need to be aware of that. You use a cannula, which is this fella here, and it just hooks up here. You know. Canola is basically hooks up to goes into your nostrils, so it's probably a good idea to buy your own. You probably wouldn't want to be wearing anyone else's, but it goes something like that. Right? It hooks up there and you breathe in the gas, and you just watch your laptop or whatever, read a book, and do it for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Some people get immediate health effects, benefits from it. Others, you have to leave it for quite some time. And it's starting to if people have heard of ionizers, this is something similar technology, but they don't separate. They separate the gases in ionizers. Now in Japan, 1 house in 3 is using an ionizer, and it's big business over there. And the Asians are very advanced in this now, possibly because of the work of Hugh Brown, who went to China and showed them how it worked. I don't know, but that's mainly how it. Or you can run it into a glass of water. There it is. This guy here is it's got a tiny holes there, and it just hooks up. You run into a glass of water, and you run it for 10 minutes, and then you drink the water. You know, okay, and that has benefits too. Beg your pardon? The hydrogenates is more importantly. It's the hydrogen aspect that's the health-giving aspect about this technology, and there are hundreds upon studies to show that hydrogen does have health benefits. And in another scenario, I know George Wiseman says that he had he's used the canola there and basically put it on people's just use it like a cap, and people have got extraordinary health benefits from it, you know. Even including cancer. Now, I'm not saying it stops cancer and like that, but
the cancer cells cannot grow in an oxygenated environment, and they take the hydrogen outside for the last 10 years, and it didn't improve the food works.
Very good. Glad to hear it.
Sorry, Brian, have you had health benefits yourself?
I haven't used it that much, to be honest with you. I did use it, but you're supposed, if you have, you would need to use it continuously for 2 months, you know, to get and I haven't done that, you know. I'm kind of lazy that way, you know. But this is a Brown's gas torch, very small one. understand we're splitting hydrogen and oxygen there. And splitting hydrogen and oxygen, and that gas, when it's reconstituted, you put a flame to it, it will burn. And if you put it again a cold surface, you will get water again, which is what you started with in here. Okay, except the water here will be new water, and it has astounding characteristics, qualities. So far that we don't fully understand it. And another thing to be said about water is all across the earth you have something called deuterium in water. Deuterium is an isotope of hydrogen. So you have hydrogen, or sometimes called protium. You have deuterium, which is two neutrons, and then you have tritium, which is 3 neutrons. Now tritium is radioactive. That's what Hermann Anderson was using in his chart. But deuterium occurs at the rate of, I think, something like 30 parts per million in the water all around the world. It's higher in the equatorial countries and lower towards the Arctic. Or if you go up heights, it's less there. It has a devastating effect on our lifespan, deuterium, even that small amount. And what they think is if people can reduce the amount of deuterium, their life might extend more. I can't say that for a fact, but that's my understanding. Now, there's only one company in Eastern Europe supplying deuterium depleted water, but these generators can make it. How they do that, I don't know, but there's tests been done and shown that the Brown's gas generators, if you run the water into this, and if you cool it down and you test the water, the resultant water from that has low deuterium or no deuterium. And but it's very energy intensive. It would take 40 hours for that to process 1 litre of water. So, can it be developed into a technology? Maybe. You probably need a very big one like Michael of Tuckamine has. And, and rather than doing 1 litre a minute, you'd want to be doing maybe 100 litres or 1,000 litres a minute to produce it in any kind of meaningful quantities. And so that's deuterium depleted water. They did find down in the Antarctic, McMurdo base down there, they inadvertently found out scientists go down there for every few months from America and other countries, and they were melting the water, not surprisingly, from some of the ice down there, and they were finding it had great health benefits, because it had much lower deuterium. And there was some tribe of people north of Pakistan, I think it was, I can't think the whose eye, they were lived up in mountainous areas in fairly tough conditions, but 1 in 4 of that population was living to 100 years of age, and they reckon it's because they eventually figured out they were drinking low deuterium water. So it's just something people should know about. It may be something that George Wiseman is going to do something with, I don't know.
You know what the structured water? You know what the structured water?
Yeah.
Does that help with the deuterium?
I don't think so. Yeah, it takes €300 to €300 to check for deuterium. It's in the money, all these things. I do believe the water down in the earth, way down, doesn't have these problems. Yeah, I think so. If you go down a mile or so, and the powers that be are afraid that people will find this out. I think that's what Colonel Gaddafi was working on in Libya. He had his water, and of course the Americans went in and destroyed it all, but I think he was tapping into the water that way down, and that's special water, that's special qualities. Beg pardon? Yeah. Yeah. That's what they call it, the primary water. Yeah. I think the primary water is the thing to aim for, Well, some of the well water, you don't know how far it's going down into the earth, But there is some of those wells have special water in them, you know. I went to the one in Farms there, Jason brought me down, and not here tonight, but it was 120 TDS, which wasn't good to start with. But I was looking for well water, you know, good well water. You know. But you know,
Brian, can you test the water in the wells? Have you got testing?
just a TDS meter, you know. Like I say, the Brown's gas can be applied to your arms if you have wounds on it. You know, people should try that. And you just put the water, you just put the brown gas and fused water on it and see how you get on, you know. So that's about it. The HHO I mentioned, that's where this device goes into an engine and you basically improve the miles per gallon. You increase the torque and lower the emissions. You have to solve the problems with oxygen sensors though. And if you don't solve it, you won't, you know, you may not get benefits. In fact, the engine the MPG might go down on it, you know. Yeah, I would, yeah, because it doesn't take any time, you know. Yeah. I'm just learning about this as I go myself, you know. Tangled water is one of these ionizers, fairly expensive one, and that's a different device than what's going on here. They're separating the gases. But they do have benefits, there's no doubt about it. The hydrogen water does have, there's hundreds of studies to show that there is a benefit there, you know. Okay. If anyone else wants to say anything?
Just on the oxygen sensors,
Yeah.
the simple generator engine has no oxygen sensor.
Big barn?
Simple generator engine
Yep.
wouldn't have any oxygen sensor.
That's one of the reasons I'll be looking at.
Will it work very well with that?
Try it. I personally, I'd like to train people in on it, you know. I'm not on an ego trip here, you know, with patents or anything like that.
Yeah, I came across a guy had a garage in Cork there a few years ago, and he was selling them. You know,
Selling what?
For a hydrolysis, basically attachment you could put into your car, your Jeep, and it would produce hydrogen, which would increase the energy output of your car or Jeep. And he had some transport companies fitted with these, and they were apparently very happy with it.
Some of them work. Some of them work.
It's a Main Street business, like baptized and hold on.
Yeah, it's the technology that needs to be developed more. I did do quite a bit of work on it. As I said the last night, we put one on Stamp's truck up here, Stamp Transport,
Right.
one of their big trucks, and they said it didn't have any benefits, but I don't know if they even measured it right, you know. Like people have to be patient, and you have to work, and you have to sort out the issues if there are issues, you know.
What's the distinction in brown gas and hydrolysis? You said there's a
Electrolysis is the process, and
so
brown gas is the end result.
That is electrolysis.
Huh?
That is electrolysis.
Yeah, that's an electrolysis out there.
And the brown gas is just hydrogen.
That's the gas that comes out of it there, that I had running there a minute ago, you know. And it can do magical things if you know what you're doing, you know.
Yeah.
And conventional science just says it's a very inefficient method of breaking up water, you know. I just showed you some of the stuff it can do, you know. But the health area is probably the best area for that, you know, as regards potential. As regards improving miles per gallon on cars, there's possibly other ways that may be more straightforward, you know. But I haven't done research into it. I'd have other ideas, and that's where you get into time and research, and that needs money. You know. Yeah, if you write it down at the back of that.
Thank you, that was really nice. Just pop it in here? Yeah.
I knew I'd get the lady's numbers again tonight.
There you go, yeah.
Brian is only living in Enniscorthy, and if anyone wants to, I'm sure he entertain, male or female, if anyone wants to further their thoughts or anything, and he might be in and out here with us anyway. And as I said, if nowhere else suits, the shed is here, the tribe shed is here. So, you know, if you want to show people or anyone is interested in.
So interesting. It's the way forward, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Will he have a?
No question. A bit of feedback on the letter for Dr. Ralph that a lot of people signed here the last day.